Everybody, welcome out to this special Mets Corner podcast. It is Friday, March 26th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Radio Pete. Say hello, Mr. Radio Pete.
Hello, Mr. Radio Pete.
How the hell are you? Mr. Harry Lugnuts will be along in a moment, probably shouting Lee Mazzilli when he comes on. But, probably. But, yeah, we're here tonight to talk to you a little Mets baseball since there's 6 days before opening day. We figured we get on the stick now and pregame it, so to speak.
Sure.
Did you see what Joel Sherman wrote yesterday? It was recent. They wrote, I don't know if you noticed
Was it, "Hi, my name is Joel"?
Something like that, yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what I read that he wrote. Beyond that, I haven't read anything else.
That you haven't read it, yeah.
No, I haven't gotten to the rest of it. So.
He said that the Mets have the opportunity to be a holy crap terrifying kind of offense this year.
I saw the headline, and I would have mentioned that, except I didn't know it was him that wrote that.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, we have a comment already. It's Chris Pizarro, ladies and gentlemen. He is the executive chef of a country club in Wayne, New Jersey. What am I drinking? I am drinking. I'm drinking Poland Spring seltzer actually right now.
And
I'm a lightweight tonight, so.
And I have tap water.
You have tap water
in a J.P. Morgan bottle.
You went all out, did you?
Well, I believe it's filtered. Just to take, I don't know, something out of it.
Something out of it, exactly. Well, anyway, Joel Sherman said, "Holy crap, terrifying kind of offense." He actually he quoted one of the quotes in the from him in the article was, "Jeff McNeil is hitting sixth." Do you know how good your freaking lineup has to be when Jeff McNeil is hitting sixth?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
pretty damn good. That's what I have to say.
Right. And, we're not another thing about this is, we're not really waiting for like two or three guys who have nagging little injuries, who might be joining us on opening day, might not.
Might be, might not be.
We kind of know who's going to be there. And that projection is pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was. I thought it definitely was a pretty good projection there. Let's talk starting lineup for a second. Starting rotation for a second.
All right.
All right. They optioned. I don't know if you saw it. They optioned Jordan Yamamoto to AAA, and they reassigned Corey Oswalt. So that pretty much falls into play. That obviously DeGrom is your ace.
Of course.
And behind him is Stroman, then Taijuan Walker. Peterson and Lucchese's getting the looks like he's getting the fifth spot. So, and obviously this is temporary, obviously, until Cookie Carrasco comes back, which shouldn't be all that long. Maybe May, late April, May, early May, somewhere in there.
Right.
And then of course Noah Syndergaard, somewhere around maybe the All-Star break. I'm sure obviously he'll be cracking the starting lineup. I'm sure Jeff Lucchese's not going to, out him of a roster spot there. So
yeah, well, we'll hope that Lucchese still has his roster spot by that point.
At that point, yeah, exactly. What do you think of that lineup? Obviously, the April. Let's put it that way. The April version of the Mets starting rotation. What do you think of that?
I think you're fine. You got the 15-time Cy Young Award winner who. Actually, was it? I think it was actually on MajorLeagueBaseball.com, where he was, listed as one of the kind of dark horse MVP candidates.
Yeah,
and they were talking about Verlander and Kershaw, and they're like, well, those guys are pitchers that won the MVP. Mm-hmm. And I think that, or as the article says, doesn't DeGrom belong on that list? Is there anybody else in baseball who kind of deserves that more? So that's a possibility there, and that's kind of, you don't get much more acier than Jacob DeGrom as your ace.
No, you don't. He totally belongs on that list, and then maybe this year is the year that can happen because he has a lineup that'll hopefully give him more than one run of run support. Most of his starts. Yeah. So. That's what we're hoping for anyway, double crossing both fingers there. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But a couple stats. DeGrom's ERA, this is 2020 stats. These are 2020 stats. DeGrom's ERA last year, we know, was 2.38, and his opponent average was 190. Stroman didn't pitch last year, obviously, so his 2019 stats, he has a 3.22 ERA.
Right.
Taijuan Walker had a 2.70 ERA. Peterson had a 3.44 ERA, and Jeff Lucchesi, again, 2019, he had a 4.18 ERA. Worst of the bunch, but still not horrible.
Yeah, one guy who's over 4, and everybody else is basically under 3.5.
Peterson's under 3.5, and everybody else is in the 2s. So,
right.
And you get Carrasco back, and then with a little luck, Syndergaard gets back to form. Well,
see, that's the thing is that
will Syndergaard get back to form?
Well, no. What I'm saying, I mean, assuming that he'll get back to at least part of his form, right? I'm not counting on him coming back and being lights out. Sure. Obviously, I think there's going to be an innings limit. Although, depending on when he comes back, at least what I mean is a early when he comes back per appearance.
Right.
I don't think they're going to run him out there if he's pitching great and let him pitch 8 innings.
No.
Within his first, half a dozen starts or whatever, they're going to.
He'll have an innings limit, not only total innings limit, but per game innings limit.
Right. Yes. Thank you. Well said. You said exactly what I was stumbling over trying to say. But here's the thing: you got to figure. Obviously, not everybody, knock wood, is going to be healthy all season.
No.
But the guys that you're waiting, or the guys that are kind of going to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
In case, in these cases when they come back,
sure,
are guys like Carrasco and Thor,
mm-hmm.
and not some dude whose name I've never heard before, or mm-hmm. who might be good,
Right.
So this to me is comforting that there are real quality pitchers,
sure,
pretty high quality pitchers,
absolutely,
who are going to join the lineup. Theoretically, when they get healthy, one may be a little bit sooner than the other. So when you do inevitably have, whoever it is that kind of goes down, those guys are coming back. You're not going to maybe have to fill that roster spot. Somebody might go out for the next, 2 months, let's say. You don't have to fill that roster spot with an unknown or another questionable young pitcher. You've got a veteran quality guy. 2 of them, in fact, that are going to come into your lineup over the next, 2-3 months. And to me, that's good because, again, every team has injuries, and you can never have enough pitching, and pitching is what wins.
Right.
So to me, that's an excellent thing to have a couple of real good pitchers coming back.
Absolutely. Totally agree. I mean, if you look at it like this, when they come back, assuming that they're going to get their spots, right? You're going to have DeGrom, Carrasco, Stroman, Walker, Syndergaard, and then you're going to have guys like Peterson,
right,
Lucchesi, and Jordan Yamamoto, obviously, at that point, as your guys that are going to come up.
Right. And that's the flip side of that equation.
Flip side of the equation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Carrasco comes back, Syndergaard comes back. Well, now,
right,
let's say that happens. Carrasco's, what's the recent on him? Another week or something? Back by opening day, he's been saying that all along. But
yeah. Well, I mean, they initially said 4 to 6 weeks. It's a hammy, so they initially said 4 to 6 weeks. So it could be sometime in April, maybe sooner, maybe later. If it's the 4 weeks thing, it's probably a week or two. It's probably a week after the home opener, so he might miss a start. If it's the 6 weeks, he'll miss a few starts.
Right, but right. So then that's like I said, that's the flip side of the equation. Is then right, Carrasco comes back and Syndergaard comes back and. Then when somebody goes out, now you've got 2 or 3 guys that you just mentioned who at least are going to have some experience, this season playing with the Mets and, building some chemistry, working with the catchers a little bit. And those are the guys that are going to come in and fill in those spots.
Exactly.
So that's, again, not guys that you're pulling up from wherever or so, again, like I said, you never have too much pitching, and the Mets seem prepared to have quality guys when those kind of things happen. And, again, knock wood, hopefully nothing serious happens to anybody.
This is absolutely true. All right, let's talk about the bullpen for a minute. The flip side, if you will, of the pitching staff. Right now, the bullpen locks, if you will, are obviously Diaz, Trevor May, Miguel Castro, Familia, Aaron Loup, and unfortunately, of course, Dellin Betances.
Mm.
Let's talk about Betances for a second, and we'll talk about the rest of them. How do you feel about Betances? His spring so far, he's had 6 appearances. He pitched an inning each, 6 innings pitched. He's given up 5 hits, 6 earned runs, and he gave up a home run. So his ERA is pretty high up there. I mean, it's spring, so, but his he doesn't his power is not. He's not he's not the guy
who was. We don't have the Yankees Dellin Betances.
No, and I think the Yankees knew that, which is why we have Dellin Betances. So.
Yeah. How old is he? How long has he been around?
Oh, geez. Good question.
I thought he was a relatively young guy when he was.
He's not that
tearing it up on the other side of town a couple of years ago. But he's a veteran, I guess, although not maybe a wizened veteran. I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
You've got to. I guess you've got to put some stock in past performance, but
he's 33.
Oh, okay. So
he just turned 33 like 3 days ago.
Okay, so he's all right. A little on the post side on the downside of 30. So it's a little bit older than I would have thought.
Right.
Listen, you let him. He doesn't have to be what he was with the Yankees.
Right.
But he's obviously got to be better than what he's been with the Mets.
He needs to. He doesn't have to be lights out. He needs to hold his own and eat a couple innings in mid innings.
Yeah. So you'll hopefully his age and experience will come into play, and if he just doesn't have the physical skills to be who he was, then he's got to obviously make adjustments, and whether or not he's trying to do that, capable of doing that, going to be successful at doing that.
Right.
Those are the questions that have to be answered. But I think you give him a shot. If he stinks, then send him down. I mean, what else you can't go, well, this guy really was great. We're going to just keep him around a little bit. We'll give him another shot. If he stinks, you treat him like anybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
Have a nice time.
Let's see. Well,
thanks for coming.
Right.
Go down, get yourself right. Mm-hmm. The AAA and whatever.
If at this point he actually can do that anymore, that's the,
right. But they shouldn't. You don't want to just if you keep him around and he costs you or contributes to, close to a handful of losses before you kind of pull that rug out from under him.
Right.
It's early season. Yeah, but every loss counts in the loss column the same, whether it happens opening day or whether it happens the last day of the season.
This is true.
So, you got to have kind of a short leash. I guess that would be my. I could have just said that and avoided all the other grease.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be apropos for you to.
Let's go back. Let's rewind. And
so, what do you think of Dellin Betances?
You got to have a short leash with him.
Done. All right.
All right. Good
job. Well put.
Thank you.
Well said.
It just takes me a while to figure out what I should have said.
I concur. He's. Look, I hope he gets right. For him, yeah, but not so much. More so, obviously, for the rotation, for the back end of the bullpen there. But you know what? Trevor May is going to be there. He's going to be able to eat some innings. Diaz is looking decent. Knock on wood. He did a little last year, and he's been pretty much lights out in spring training. Knock on wood when we say that, but we'll see how that translates into the regular season and how far he gets before anything. Hopefully nothing. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But I think they're okay. I would have been more confident if they added another piece, a little higher end piece, if you will.
Yeah.
But they do have a few pitchers on the bubble. Because they're going to want like 8 guys in the pen now. And that was 6 that I mentioned. So, pitchers on the bubble are Jacob Barnes, Mike Montgomery, Drew Smith, Stephen Tarpley, Mr. Vizcaino, and then of course we have Robert Gazelman and Jerry Blevins. So,
Blevins, that's just not a successful name. I'm sorry to say it.
Well, I mean, he did have success with the Mets, in the past.
Yeah, I know.
And they brought him back. He did the SNY thing last year, which was pretty interesting. But no, you know what? I hope a couple of them. You know what? Obviously, they're gonna have to get a couple of them obviously into the pen, no matter what. But I don't think Gesellman has whatever he did have. This is my thought anyway. Whatever he did have a few years ago, whatever he was showing, even when he was coming up and starting a few games, and then when they put him in the pen, that's gone. I mean, you know, if he can get himself right somehow, that'd be great. But I don't think it's happening right now. Blevins didn't look bad. You know, didn't look great, but didn't look bad a couple of times. But you know, hopefully they pick the right two. Let's put it that way. But again, I wouldn't have minded an extra arm or two in the bullpen. Better, you know, more higher end arm. And look who's joining us right now. There he is, Mr. Harry Lugnuts.
Is this the Lee Mazzilli fan club?
This is Lee Mazzilli fan club. Yeah,
it is.
Yes.
Or is it the Mets branch of Alcoholics Anonymous?
Both, actually. I see you wore your orange and blue, so that was good.
Yeah, always.
Actually, you and Pete called each other before the show.
Well, I have orange and blue underwear on.
That's right.
All right.
My most of my body is orange and blue.
There you go. I thought it was black and blue, but
you know,
well, black has turned orange. So in any event,
black is the new orange.
Black is the new orange. I thought it was the other way around, but works that way.
Nope.
Not with us.
Nope.
We've had 4 years of orange, and now black is the new orange.
There you go. Just to catch you up, we're just finishing up the pitching.
God, you got 6 minutes to finish this up.
6 minutes. We'll go a little bit longer than that. The infield locks, if you will, at the moment are obviously Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, J.D. Davis, Luis Guillorme, and Jonathan Villar. Let's talk about Alonso for a second. So far in spring, he's hitting .378 with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs. That's as of the other day. So anything he's doing tonight so far, I did not include that in there. I did not have those stats. He leads the Mets in OPS, so he's doing pretty damn good in spring. Lindor, we mentioned the other night on the other podcast, on the main podcast. He's in the last 6 games, he's hitting .476 with 4 home runs and 11 ribeyes, as Keith Hernandez likes to call them. What do you think about the Lindor contract? Let's start there with that. What do you think that's actually going to happen? I mean, we've talked about it before. It's a daily occurrence on any of the Mets blogs, on any of the Mets pages. What do you think of that? Do you think they're going to sign him? Do you think they're actually going to pull the trigger by next Wednesday and get him signed, or you think you're going into the season and that's it?
I think both sides are going to wait it out, but both sides should sign it and get it over with.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean,
we are in complete agreement.
We've said this before, because if they wind up not signing Lindor and he goes to free agency and goes somewhere else, the offseason is just like a wash. It's ridiculous. And just to bring one other thing up on that, and I know again we're talking spring training, but Jimenez with the Indians right now, in 12 games, he's hitting .417 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs, and he's got an OPS of 1.545. So
but that's not going to hold up.
I know it's not going to hold up, but you know, this is a young kid too. I mean, this isn't like, you know,
right? But it's hard to say he's going to be the next Francisco Lindor.
I'm not saying that. No. You're
and even if he is, you're always going to have a better chance if you have 2 Francisco Lindors on the team.
This is true.
You know, this whole idea that a guy can only play one position, and we got a young. I've been hearing that on the other side of town for a long time. Get the best players you possibly can, and you never have enough of them.
Yeah, well, that was the problem with Jimenez is where were you going to put him?
Exactly.
Right. If he wasn't part of that trade, where are you going to put him? Third? You know, I mean, I guess if he's hitting like that, you could justify taking Davis's bat out of the lineup, but you don't really you want him in, right? JD Davis, you want to develop, so
you want him, yeah.
You really didn't have a place for him. You know?
No, I agree with the trade by all means, but it needs to finish. Yes. It needs to be completed with the signing of Francisco.
If they don't sign him and he walks, then you're looking at
then it's a double loss,
right? And you know what? Everybody's saying that you get both ends of the stick. You get, oh my God, it's going to be the worst offseason for the Mets in history if they don't sign Francisco Lindor. And then the other side of the coin, everybody's saying, well, you know what? If he does walk, you know what? At least we're getting a season that he's going to play lights out because he wants a bigger contract from somebody else. And you got Correa coming up. You got Trevor Story that's going to be a free agent next year. You got Ronnie Mauricio that's going to be probably ready to go by 2023.
And there'll be other free agents.
So it's a big shortstop free agency market after this season. It's not a big outfield market after this season. So everybody's saying if you're only going to sign one of them, and I think they should sign both, and obviously they can sign both. But if you're only going to sign one of them, Conforto's the guy to sign, because you can always, if Lindor's not going to sign for what they're offering, they're going to be able to get somebody next year, right. whether it's Correa or Story. But hey, you know what? I don't know.
And Conforto is actually the other player on that MLB.com story of dark horse MVP candidates.
Was he?
Yeah, it was him and DeGrom. And talking about what does it say here? I forgot the quote here. Fully recovered from shoulder surgery. He's been like one of the 20 best hitters in baseball since the start of 2019.
Sure.
So there you go. Strikes out 24% of the time. Maybe he's not going to hit 320 anymore, but he is definitely a guy who can blossom. So, like I said, him and DeGrom, dark horse MVP candidates, according to MLB.com.
And I agree with that, actually. I do. I just wonder if there's a reason. Like, is there something that we're not knowing? I mean, are they – and no news is good news, everybody says, because all of this talk, they're not signing him, they are signing him, they will sign him, they're not going to sign him. That's just hyperbole. Right. Nobody's actually, gotten word down from, firm word from anybody that's not going to happen or it is going to happen. So, I just think that I think come Tuesday we're going to hear, hey, you know what, they settled on 325 for 12 years, or something like that. That's my guess. That's my take on it. But we'll
I hope you're right.
We'll see what happens.
I think he's got 18 years in his major league career.
Who knows? What is he? 27 now, right?
Yeah, but hasn't he played 6 years already in this league?
No, 4 or 5.
4.
Yeah. I think he came up, so four complete years or something like that, I believe. But in any event, I could be wrong. It could be 6. I don't think it is. I think it's 4 or 5. Either way, he'll be 12 years is 39. It's not. Regardless of when he started playing.
Yeah, and with those long contracts, if it means you can keep him, and his last 2 years are
right.
Well,
exactly. It's really 325 for 9 years,
right?
And the last 3 years, he's just getting paid for
Yeah, if they structure it along the lines of the Tatis Jr. contract, where they're paying him, $1 million this year and $5 million next year, and whatever, $6 or $8 million, where you're going to get him for 3 or 4 years, and it's going to cost you a total of $15 million. So you're going to have money to sign those other players. If they structure it that way, then and you look at that contract, and they're paying him ridiculous amounts of money in the last couple of years of his contract, but having more money to put other pieces around him while he's young and fit and paying it on the back end. If you structure these things that way, then you can give a 28-year-old a 12-year contract or a 10-year contract.
Exactly.
And you just, but I mean, that's already been kind of the philosophy, right? We're going to give them a boatload of money, and we're going to win hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years.
That's what it's all about anyway. Yeah. But it's about in every sport.
Right. But the difference is now they start to kind of swing things around, where instead of paying him a lot of money now, we pay him a lot of money later.
Right.
And we keep money freed up to put other pieces around him. So
to get a couple of 1 year and 2 year contracts now to get over the hump now, and then
you're seeing a lot.
Fall by the wayside.
You're seeing a lot of those in every sport now, 1 year in contracts, because nobody knows what their income is going to be. Plus, caps are inevitably going to go back up, and once hopefully people can be in the stands and buying their $25 Coors Lights. So it's think about it. These I'm sure revenue is down a bit.
Yeah,
maybe.
And
I think it's down considerably.
Just a bit.
Well, to move on to the outfield, the projected outfield is obviously Conforto, Nimmo, and Smith, and right, center, and left, respectively. And Pilar and Almora Jr. are your fourth and fifth outfielders. Problems there, other than the fact that you don't have a true. Well, I mean, Nimmo, is he a center fielder?
He is now.
And Dom Smith is a first baseman playing left field.
Yeah. Well,
Dom Smith is a potential Gold Glove first baseman playing left field. Let's call it what it is.
Dom Smith is not in the lineup because of his glove in the outfield.
He's not in the lineup because of his glove. But obviously, if things were different and the National League had the DH, Pete Alonso would be DH, and
yes,
Dom Smith would be playing first base.
Yeah, there's a number of lineups that you could move around if they were a DH.
Absolutely, of course, absolutely.
Listen, as long as he hits, then he stays in against the play. Right? It's really that simple.
Yeah, exactly. He's been doing decent. Has he been playing like a Gold Glove, left fielder? No, but
no,
he hasn't been. Kicking balls and spiking balls. So
yeah, and if he's going to get you runs, Pilar and who's the fifth?
Almora Jr.
Yeah, neither one of those guys is somebody you want out there every day because they're bad.
Sure.
Either the upside of Smith's bad over his lousy defense, I think, is a higher ceiling than, let's say, Pilar's defense over the lack of his bat.
Right.
Does that make any sense? I'd rather suffer his lousy offense and take the potential defense, or the Smith's lousy
defense with the potential offense
to get the offense.
Right.
Then
and it's not so lousy. It's not so lousy. His
if
defense.
If you're a professional baseball player, then you're probably not too lousy.
Right, exactly.
And it's probably better than Rosario's so far. But he's in center for Cleveland.
This is what you guys should judge everything by: are they worse at their position than Gary Sanchez is at behind the plate?
Well, that's a story for a later podcast. But in any event,
I'm just trying to make you feel better about your backup outfielders that you're discussing.
I get it. All right, let's move to this little tidbit here. The National League East MVP candidates right now. The betting lines, if you will, on them right now. Juan Soto is plus 750. And which means if you bet 100, you win $750. Anyway, Ronald Acuna Jr. is at plus 850. Lindor is at plus 1,200. And Bryce Harper is at plus 1,600. I do like seeing that, personally. But but in any event, I think Lindor should be a little higher than that. But, hey.
He hasn't hit over 300 in going on 5 years now. And granted, his power spiked in that time period.
Sure. And
his production is outrageous. But he went from being a 313 and just over 300 hitters first 2 years in the league to, a 270 guy who's hits a lot of home runs, but his RBIs, because of where he sits in the lineup, are not exorbitant.
Right. Well, that's probably what they based it on. So obviously, I'm sure it is. And I was going to move on to the Mets over/under is for games won this season is at 90.5. Do you agree with that? You think it's going to be more? You think it's going to be less? What's your take? Let me get both of your takes. Either or.
I think if the Mets win 90, 91 games, it's a successful year, without a doubt.
Do you think they can do it, is my point? You think it's going to be 90?
I think it's going to be right around there. I think they'll win between 88 and 92 games.
There you go. Right.
So, only because I think they play in a tough.
It's one of the toughest divisions in baseball.
And it's a tough division.
And I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to gel.
Right.
And they got to get some pitchers healthy, which I think will help them on the back end of the season.
Sure.
Their rotation changes dramatically if they get people healthy.
Right. I agree.
I think they can. I think it's gonna be. What was it? 90 and a half.
90 and a half. 90 and a half.
Yeah,
I think they'll win 90 and a quarter.
I think it's. I'm going to say no because I think it's going to be just under 90. So as a pure bet, I would say I would not take that bet.
All right, I'm going to throw this out there. Go ahead.
Depending on who gets hurt and on which teams.
Oh, sure.
They could win 95.
Sure. I'm going to go out and say they're going to win 93 games this year. That's my take. I'm putting them at 93. So I'm going with the over on that. What needs to happen? Give me one thing. The main thing you think. Obviously, tons of things need to happen, obviously, but the one thing you think needs to happen for them to reach their over. Reach 90 and a half plus. Anything?
I think they have to get their pitching staff back. They have to get their true number two back to being a number two in their rotation. Right. I think the other key to the Mets is I think Conforto is really the key. I think there's a lot. I think he's got a lot of weight on his shoulder. He's one of the best right fielders in the game, and I think he's gonna shoulder a lot of the load. And I think if he can live up to what he's done, I think the Mets will be okay.
Yeah, assuming all other things remain relatively constant as far as injuries and that sort of thing go.
Right.
I think either Carrasco or Syndergaard is going to have to come back and be not lights out, but pretty darn good.
Right.
If they, one of them is going to have to, I think, step up their game, and they're both capable of that, of course.
I think Syndergaard is the guy you gotta.
Yeah, that's the guy you would think would happen,
and it's sounding like it should happen.
Sure.
And
as we mentioned before,
yeah.
Sorry. As we mentioned before, he's going to have something of an innings limit coming off of surgery, so there's only so much you're going to get out of him. But
sure,
if they're both good and not great, even below what their past, capabilities have been, but are close, both of them, Carrasco, and then the Mets pitching is 30 somewhat % better than what it is at the end of the season than what it is at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
Which is huge, right. Especially if they can get enough innings in where they can go into, the playoffs. And look, it might be a plug and play scenario where the way the playoffs have been lately, you just need arms. You need arms that can get you 2-3 innings at any given time. And right. Starters are usually pretty better at adapting to that than setup guys and relievers.
Exactly. Well, it should be interesting. Let's put it that way. That's for sure. To wrap this discussion up, just a little interesting tidbit. Matt Harvey made the Orioles staff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that or not.
You do know. You have watched the Orioles in the last few years.
I didn't say he made the Dodgers staff.
I almost made it, and I didn't even go to.
I didn't say he made the Dodgers staff.
I did it via Zoom call, and they were on the bubble.
Yeah.
Matt Harvey's on the Orioles, so look out. No one else in the division.
He's 30. He's going to be 32 years old tomorrow, and he's set to earn $1 million this year. Just $1 million. That's it. So
I wish him well. Why not?
Hey, you know what? If he can resurrect his career to some extent and have a little success right now.
If he can just pitch and be passable, fine, whatever.
I know.
If he has any success, though, he's just. I mean, he's going to turn into the jerk again.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he doesn't. Let's hope he has success and
appreciates it and doesn't
appreciates
the
success.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. Most athletes are known for that,
right? Of course, most of them, yeah. Like
during their playing days, yeah.
Especially when they get old. Especially when you get older, it's so easy to teach an old baseball dog new tricks. Yeah,
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw. Speaking of Trevor Bauer, I don't know if you saw. You saw a couple weeks ago, right? He was pitching. He pitched one game with. He pitched a couple innings with one eye closed. So if he can strike batters out or one eye open, right? If he can, depends on how you look at it.
Gripping your fastball tight.
But he said if he can if he can figure out how to get players out with one eye closed, then obviously with two eyes open, he's that much better. But the other day, I don't know if you saw the other day, I guess he pitched 4 innings. The 4th inning he pitched, they were playing the Mariners, and the Mariners clocked him in four batters, hit 3 home runs. 1 each, obviously, solo home runs. Within 4 batters, they hit 3 home runs on him. So after the game, he was interviewed, and he says he was just trying to get his pitch count up. He really wasn't locating pitches. He was just trying to, he was pitching better in the beginning, in the first 3 innings he pitched. But that inning, he really wasn't concentrating too much. He was just trying to finish it out and get his pitch count up for the day. So he's kind of blowing it off like, there was no reason,
they didn't hit the ball.
They didn't hit the ball well, right? Yeah. So I guess it was the batting coach for the Mariners. They interviewed him and asked him what he thought. He said, well, first of all, in the first 3 innings, we were just trying to get our swings in. We weren't trying to we weren't trying to hit the ball. So we were only trying to hit the ball in the 4th inning. And in the 4th inning too, when we were hitting the ball, we were hitting with one eye closed. It was just we were trying to zero in with one eye, so went right back at him. So I haven't heard anything that he responded. Bauer, that is, responded to those comments, but it's pretty funny. It was passive aggressiveness. It was awesome that he did that, but anyway, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, well, listen, there's no reason for anybody to take shit from him at all.
Yeah, that's great.
And actually, that is one thing I am really looking forward to is Syndergaard's Twitter feed over the course of the season. He's had a few choice tweets for Mr. Bauer, Agent Outrage or whatever the hell it's called.
Bauer outage.
Bauer outage. Yeah, that's it.
I like Agent Outrage better, actually.
Thor's had a few choice words for him, so I kind of hope that continues because Thor just DGAF, as they say.
Exactly. And one last note, really quick. Citi Field obviously is open to play. Fans obviously can attend now. What certain percentages, whatever. They released the guidelines the other day. I'm paraphrasing and just summing them up really quick, but they said most of the concessions are going to be closed. The ones that are open, social distance in line. You have to no cash. Everything's card. Everything's going to be prepackaged. When you get it, you have to go back to your seats to eat it. You can't sit. You can't no milling around. If you're going to any of the concession stands, not concession stands, gift shops or anything like that, most of them are going to be closed. Some will be open. The ones that are open, you have to walk up, go on your phone, order what you want, pay for it, and they'll walk it out to you and hand it to you. And then the other thing was no tailgating. No tailgating. So, and so,
how do you police that last one?
I don't know about that. Well, I mean, they do have a lot of police in the lots. So obviously, if there's anything going on, they'll get to it. But the bottom line is, you're going to spend a lot of money extra than you normally do on tickets, obviously, because there's so fewer tickets obviously going to be available, and you got to put up all those restrictions. And granted, obviously, I miss games too, and I would love to go, but it's going to be hard to get people to go to those games under those restrictions, But that's just
especially if you're, you've if they're really going to crack down or continue to crack down, you can't bring in any of your own food or anything.
No,
right? You can't bring in bottled water because it might be an explosive liquid and all that stuff.
Nothing.
So, it used to be you could go to the game and you could bring a bag of peanuts, you could make a couple sandwiches,
Sure.
We used
do whatever
to go
you want.
with a backpack full of food, and we would just buy drinks because it was easier and they were cold, we didn't have to worry about that. But it's going to be, look, if I would think that eating a Citi Field or any field for that matter, hot dog would stave off the COVID if nothing else.
Right.
They're not the same dirty water dogs they used to be.
No, they're a little bit more.
They're also $16 for a hot dog now. It's just
only with relish. Without relish, it's $15.95.
I relish the day.
But I think it's you ought to be able to get one of those, and that should protect you from the COVID at least for the rest of the afternoon.
At least that day. So.
Yeah. Look, they're going to drive around. Guys that are going to tailgate. They go, okay. They'll climb into your truck, right? You can sit in your vehicle, right? If you're going to be in the parking lot, and then the cops will drive away, and then they'll get out and go back to what they're doing. So,
because inside a vehicle is much better than being outside in the fresh air if you're going to be around people.
I'm not saying it's logical. I'm just saying that's probably how it'll.
All it does is limit the amount of people who are together.
This is true.
Look, everybody, let's just use common sense. Go to the game. Don't hang out in a big crowd. Keep your fucking mask on and wipe your hands. it's just if they just say it that way, but no, we have to just fight it. We just have to fight it. It's been over a year now. If we don't follow what works, we're not going to be going to games next year at full capacity.
Right.
Well, that's what they want, man. They just want to wear you down, man. Like, it's been over a year, man. They're hoping we'll just all right, I surrender. No way. We're not doing it.
I'm not going to a game. I also, I think the only way I'd go to a Rockies game is if they had an actual COVID shot available. Then
if you're not
walk in.
If you're not fully vaccinated and you are dying to go to a game, you're putting yourself at risk. Even if you're doing the right thing. Right. You don't wear the mask to protect yourself as much as you wear it to protect other people. And if those other idiots aren't wearing theirs, then you're the one who's going to be at risk. Yes, you're going to have some protection. I also wear it
to hide my lunch that sometimes gets stuck in my teeth.
This is true.
Well,
this is true. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap this show up. Quick predictions for next week's opener. Opening day is next week. Obviously, it's not the Mets home opener. That's a week later. They're in Washington on Thursday night next week, April 1st. Predictions? Mets win. Nationals win.
Who's
DeGrom?
Who's pitching for the Nats?
I believe I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's Strasburg, but who the hell knows?
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game.
I'll say the Nationals are going to win.
I think the Nats win the first one, but the Mets win the series on the road.
All right. Well,
that's going to be a very, very interesting rivalry.
I think it's going to be a good game, especially if it is DeGrom and Strasburg. But
let me ask you guys this, just on that topic:
is it Strasburg or is it?
Does it make any sense if to not always have your number one pitcher, especially in a situation where the Mets are at, where they're much similar to the Yankees? They have a clear number one, but it drops off pretty quickly after that. Does it make any sense to just not have your number one go up against everybody else's number one?
Right. It just makes sense.
Unless you're in a playoff situation, and
right, the playoff situation I understand, but
during the regular season, no, you would kind of think, that would be the point. You give yourself the best chance.
It's Scherzer. DeGrom versus Scherzer.
Oh, it's Scherzer.
All
right. Well, then I'll say the Nationals win.
So you got Scherzer and Strasburg, but the Nationals just have
they got a pretty stacked pitching staff.
Yeah, they're going to be good this year.
Yeah, no, the whole
what a surprise!
The whole
division is
going to be a tough division. Yeah,
it is. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap.
Just one other thing. It's not really a sport, but where masks have been really a boon, the poker tour. Makes it a lot easier to have a good poker face when you have a mask.
This is true.
Sure.
This is very true.
Just thought I'd bring that up. All right. Continue onward.
All right.
Continue onward to the end.
We will wrap up the show for today. Thanks for tuning in, checking it out. We will do a few of these throughout the season as well. But next week will be our big Major League Baseball kickoff show for our main podcast on Wednesday night. So remember, visit our website, www.logarom.com. That's LEGERROM.com. And remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Log Room. Folks, again, thanks for checking out this special Mets Corner special sports podcast of The Log Room. And we will talk to you soon, folks. Have a great weekend. Enjoy. Take care.